Welcome back. We hope you had a restful and a peaceful Heroes Day. In today's show, removing plastics from domestic waste, plus how to finance your child's education. This is Jamaica Magazine and I'm Adrian Atkinson. The show begins right now.
The government of Jamaica and its partners invite you to participate in the 7th Regional Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction in the Americas and the Caribbean virtual conference from November 1 to 4. Register online before October 20. Together, we are building resilient economies in the Americas and the Caribbean. Register, join the conversation, and let's take action for a cause.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, October 19, 2021. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie says the Ministry of Health and Wellness is aiming to have 30 to 40% of the population receive at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine before the Christmas holiday. Dr. Bisesa McKenzie says this will help to prevent an increase in hospitalization as more persons will be inclined to travel and do increased shopping for holiday preparations.
There is a huge risk of exposure and increase in the number of cases. So persons have to take the personal responsibility very, very seriously in decreasing exposure, and they have to get vaccinated because vaccination is one way that is sure that it is going to decrease your likelihood of being hospitalized and having bad outcomes such as persons dying.
The Chief Medical Officer says to date, 99.3% of persons hospitalized are unvaccinated. Daily hospitalization now ranges between 70 to 80, with bed occupancy at 500 persons for both confirmed and suspected COVID-19 cases.
So this is a positive trend, although we are still at a level where we are seeing that the number of cases still have a significant impact on hospital services. We really need to get down to less than 200 cases to be in the green zone, where it is that we won't impact severely the rest of the activities in the hospitals, elective admissions, elective surgeries. Those still have to be put on hold for the most part in order to accommodate the number of cases that we have hospitalized for COVID.
Dr. Bisesa McKenzie is urging persons who got their first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine in August and are now due their second to get it and be fully vaccinated. Meanwhile, data from the Ministry of Health is showing that 12.3% of the population is now fully vaccinated, with another 8.2% having received a first dose only. This leaves under 80% unvaccinated.
We need to move these numbers up, and just again to point out that we have a lot of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in stock and several persons are taking it now, and if with just one dose we can move that needle and put us in a safer place for the Christmas season.
The Chief Medical Officer is urging the at-risk age group of 70 and older to get vaccinated. The vaccination take-up for persons 70 to 79 years is at 27% fully and 11% first dose, while persons 80 and older are 20% fully vaccinated and 7% first dose. Still on the coronavirus, results from samples sent overseas for genetic sequencing are showing the Alpha and Delta variants of COVID-19 as the two dominant cases of the 5 strains in Jamaica. Data between December 2020 and October 2021 shows there were 47 new cases of Alpha and 30 of Delta.
We had 100 samples that were sent to Berlin to be tested, and of those, 95 were sequenced. And what it is showing is that we're having a mixture of the Alpha, remember the Alpha is the UK variant, and the Delta variant among those samples. Very few of the Mu variant, which is a variant of interest, not showing that high amount of transmissibility, but the Alpha and the Delta, it would appear, still remains to be the dominant variants that are in country.
Dr. Bisesa McKenzie is urging Jamaicans to maintain strict adherence to social distancing measures to prevent a spike in cases. As the nation observed National Heroes Day yesterday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness stressed that Jamaica could overcome the COVID-19 pandemic in the same way it did other health crises in our history. While encouraging greater COVID-19 vaccine uptake, the Prime Minister said vaccines had always played an important role in securing our personal and public health.
My brothers and sisters, my Jamaican family, our heroes did not give their lives to gain our freedom for us to squander it on false information on social media, conspiracy theories, and utter nonsense being espoused by pseudo-prophets and rumor mongers. Our heroes expect us to learn from our history, to be responsible citizens, and take wise decisions about our personal health and protect the collective health of the society.
Meanwhile, opposition leader Mark Golding said the rich legacy of our national heroes should inspire us to be resilient and strong, especially in difficult times.
The spirit of our national heroes finds daily expression in our everyday heroes. It is in our nurses and doctors and other healthcare workers who have all been called upon to act heroically to keep us safe amidst the ravages of this pandemic.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, is investigating the cause of a fire at the Church Corner Disposal Facility in St. Thomas. The fire, which occurred on Sunday, was extinguished by the NSWMA with assistance from the Jamaica Fire Brigade. Executive Director of the authority, Audley Gordon, says his team was alerted to a fire at the facility at approximately 4 a.m. He says cover material or soil, which was at the facility, allowed for quick response to combat the blaze. Owners of tipper trucks were also called in to assist with spreading the material. The NSWMA says although normalcy has been returned to the site, it will continue to investigate the reasons for the fire so it can implement more measures to prevent such a recurrence. And finally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has expressed gratitude to the community members in St. Thomas and the JCF for their determination in finding 9-year-old Phyllis Prussia and 13-year-old Winche Barrett. They were both abducted days apart by a man who is alleged to be a sex offender. The Prime Minister is also encouraging parents to be vigilant in watching their children and always be able to give account for their whereabouts. Meanwhile, Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson says he is grateful for the collaborative efforts in finding both girls.
We had about, 450 or so community members come out from all of the surrounding communities. We also had JCF personnel from St. Thomas K9 unit, persons from Kingston who joined specialized operations. We're bringing over students as well from the college. We also had the JDF on board, helicopter in the space, and people from CPFSA were on the ground, and so on. It was really a collective effort and got the exact result we wanted from it.
Both girls were taken to hospital for observation. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
The Cannabis Licensing Authority is committed to supporting the creation of a regulatory framework for the growth and sustainability of Jamaica's medical cannabis industry. We carefully assess application forms for businesses and individuals interested in becoming partners in the industry. Along with other ministries, departments of government and agencies, the authority endeavors to preserve the integrity of the industry through compliance. This is all done to ensure that the industry is operating in conformity with Jamaica's international obligations. Call or visit our website to find out more about the work of the Cannabis Licensing Authority.
The government has embarked on a pilot program to separate plastics from domestic waste. Several communities across the country are engaged in the program. Take a look.
Jamaicans will have to undergo a behavioral shift in their solid waste disposal practices and get into the habit of sorting their plastic waste, which could potentially save the country millions. If the National Solid Waste Management Authority has its way, within the next 2 years, every household will have to separate its plastic for garbage disposal. According to the state-owned agency, approximately 40% of domestic waste consists of solid degradable substances such as plastics.
When it goes to the landfill, And should there be a fire, those plastics enhance the burning and give us less control in managing any event of a spontaneous or otherwise fire at the landfill.
We have two types of waste in the household. You have the organic and the inorganic waste, and the plastic is part of the inorganic. So it is a very good initiative, and I believe that it will save us money and it will save us the environment.
Research has shown that plastics harm the environment, impacting the growth of humans, flora and fauna. Plastic products are known to clog drains, contributing to year-on flooding. Plastics also pollute the seabed, damaging the ecological system, such as sea creatures and mangroves. For those reasons and others, the NSWMA has embarked on a plastic separation project for Jamaica. Now in its pilot phase, the project has kicked off in Kingston and St. James.
The purpose of this program is, one, to rid our waste of the plastics. Two, to reduce the amount of plastic that goes to our landfill. And three, also educate this community on how to separate and why the importance of separating these plastics.
Our regional office, WPM, is promoting love for the environment, and as you are aware, the NSWMA is an environmental organization, though government. We are interested in the health of the environment, and keeping our environment safe is of importance to us. We want to rid the environment of harmful effluents, like we have plastic bottles.
The residents are first educated on the importance of garbage separation, and then homes are provided with containers to solely dispose of their plastics.
Today we just will be issuing flyers to the residents of the communities. We'll be issuing drums, and we'll just having general discussions with them about how to make their environment more cleaner, safer and healthier. It is important that they separate at source. That way it is much more easier for us to handle the waste and take care of it accordingly. We schedule these collections, right? Once weekly, they will come in and collect, and those plastics, whichever resident is unsure of when the collection date is, they can always call us. We have a mobile app that they can also check with to verify when is their collection day in case they are uncertain.
We were actually approached by the NSWMA, and we were quite excited because we do recognize that there has been significant degrading of the environment. We have been sending emails, we've been sending text messages so that they understand that what their responsibility is in this in protecting the environment and doing what we can to ensure that our children are able to benefit and see the natural resources that we have to offer here in Jamaica and to a wider extent the universe. As far as being a part of this pilot program, one of the first communities to be selected, I mean, it's something that's going to give us a significant boost as it relates to the wider Jamaica, so that people can recognize that the Meadows of Irwin citizens, that we are conscious about what's going on in the environment. And it starts with one person, but I mean, if we could get together as a community and we are, undertaking this initiative, then it goes to show that, we can go ahead and extend that further within the neighboring communities, and just do great things for our country.
In this pilot launch, the NSWMA has collected more than 1,000 pounds of plastic bottles from not only householders of Irwin, but other communities in St. James, such as Ramble Hill and Westgate Hills, which have since joined in to separate their garbage of plastics. The drive is now to provide more residents with the resources to separate their garbage. Plastics come in various types, shapes, and kinds. Toys, stationeries, personal care items, and the very obvious, drink bottles. The NSWMA has partnered with other agencies to properly dispose of the separated plastics.
We don't use the same units that we use to collect the regular household garbage. We use a tipper, a special truck, to pick up those plastics. So they are not mixed in the regular garbage. So once they are separated at source, we come and we collect on specific days. We also partner with RPJ, that's Recycling Partners of Jamaica, who takes these plastic bottles and recycles it.
Some types of plastics can only be composted by industrial or municipal facilities after first being separated from other non-biodegradable plastics.
If you love the environment, you should ensure that you protect it. And this is one way you can protect it. Ensure that you separate your garbage. You have your garbage that you can separate for composting, and you have your garbage that you can separate the plastic from to ensure that it does not end up in the sea or drains. And if it goes to the landfill, which we are trying to reduce the amount of garbage that goes to the landfill, if it is at the landfill and burnt, then you know that it will give off poisonous gases that can also affect us health-wise and our environment. It can damage the ozone layer, and it can also, through the burning, which would create carbon monoxide, damage our respiratory system.
Do you want to have your community join in on the plastic separation pilot project? Then contact the NSWMA at 876-926-5170 or download their app from the Google Play Store to connect with the agency.
Funding your child's education can be very expensive. Here are some valuable tips to help you spend wisely.
Hello everyone, I'm Xavier Campbell, an educator, financier and entrepreneur. Education is very important to our development and can take years to achieve the highest level. It is also very costly, and some persons will have a difficult time finding the money up front, especially in the absence of careful financial planning. So, within the next few minutes, I want to share a few steps that will guide your approach to financing your child or children's education. Let's start with, when should we begin that financial planning? According to the Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Although there is no perfect time to begin planning for your child's tertiary education, starting as early as possible is the best way to ensure you are prepared financially and avoid the common pitfalls. Having a step-by-step plan is the best way to ensure that you are able to finance your child's education without sacrificing your personal financial plan. There are several things to consider when planning for your child or children's education. However, most notable among them are parents must identify the future costs of tertiary education and have a clear sum in mind of what their target will be. Then work their way backwards to present and see how best they can earn to realize the future goal. A clear financial plan should be put in place either by the parents themselves or with the help of a professional financial planner. The discipline is what follows the plan to ensure that all financial objectives are being taken care of in terms of allocations and meeting the various timelines set out by the plan. Once all incomes and expenditures remain in accordance to the plan, by the time your child reaches maturity, their tertiary education funding would have been readily available to offset the costs associated. Now your options could be savings or investments. Both are good, but let's look at them closely. There are basically two ways to make money. One, you work for money. Two, your money works for you. So savings is the process of putting aside a portion of your income for future use. In this case, we are talking about education. So if you're going to save, you need to put aside some of your income to ensure that you're able to offset the cost of your education in the future. While investment is you putting money aside that will generally earn interest over the period of time that you put it aside for. Therefore, having a plan inclusive of savings and investments can put parents in a better position to offset the future expenses of education. Firstly, if you're not financially literate, I would advise you to seek assistance from a professional financial advisor to ensure you are getting qualified advice that will help you achieve your goal. Here are the 5 steps of planning your child's education. Step 1, set target date. Step 2, find current cost of the education. Step 3, find target amount. Step 4, estimate the returns you can generate. And step 5, calculate the monthly contribution. Here are some additional things to consider. A partner plan is a very good thing. Creating a savings account and/or fixed deposit. Invest in one of the various educational products available from a preferred financial institution. And maintain your discipline while ensuring that the projected amounts are allocated at the appropriate time to achieve your financial goal effectively and efficiently. One of the most common mistakes that parents make is that they think that they need this large lump sum. But as the Jamaican proverbs go, every mickle make a muckle, so therefore they can start small and then build onwards. Now, another mistake that they normally would make is the fact that they think that savings alone would help in terms of offsetting the costs in the future. What I would recommend is for them to use a culmination of both savings and investments in order to achieve their financial goal. So the first disadvantage I want to speak about is the inability to set financial goals. So you not being able to set goals will also lead to you being demotivated and lack the knowledge that is required to achieve that goal. And as a result of that demotivation and that lack of knowledge that is required, then there is no direction. So we consider it to be a lack of direction, right? And if there's a lack of direction, then what will happen is that poor financial outcomes will be the result of that. In concluding, planning for your child or children's education is not just dependent on the numbers. Rather, it's a combination of several factors, namely social, personal beliefs, religious, your way of approaching, and general outlook at life. However, the cost of education on a rise. Parents are looking at various investment vehicles to secure their child or children's future. Judicious planning for your children's future is essential, and empowering them with an education plan is a wise thing to do. Start to reap maximum benefits very early. Create a sustainable future for them to bloom in.
Coming up, how to obtain a driver's license.
So, you've acquired your provisional or learner's driver's license, and the next step is getting the real deal. Well, the process for getting each is a bit different, but nonetheless very achievable.
Now, the fundamental difference between the provisional and the driver's license now is that with the driver's license you can drive by yourself, but with the provisional, an instructor have to be there with you, must be there with you at all times. Somebody who have a driver's license must be with you. So once you acquire the driver's license now, you can drive by your own.
But before we go in to get this piece of document, we must have an idea of the type of license that we're applying for. Here in Jamaica, there are 3 categories available: a motorcycle license, a private license for motor cars only, and a general license, which is for any vehicle including motorcycles and public passenger vehicles. Now it's time to head to an Island Traffic Authority depot. But don't leave these important documents: a completed driver's license application form, signed by a justice of the peace or a notary public, the examination fee receipt, your provisional driver's license or learner's permit, and 3 passport-size photographs also signed by a JP or notary public.
First step we need to do is that we must be successful in the road code test, and we must acquire the provisional driver's license. Now, when you would have gone to your instructor, right? Your instructor would then decide when you are ready to go and do the test. You should prepare yourself for three things: the written test, the yard test, and the road test. You need to know how to navigate that motor vehicle, right, safely without hitting down anyone. So you need to be in control of the vehicle, right? Know when to brake, know when to gas, know when to turn, etc. Ensure that you know your road code, right? Know your road signs, know your road markings, know the responsibility of drivers, know the responsibility of other road users. Understand what the road marking signs mean, the white line mean, and know what they mean, and obey them. So those things are very critical, right? So once you know these things, right, then you're ready to do the written test. The written test have to do with driving questions, driving issues.
It's mandatory for all applicants to complete this written test. Individuals are required to read a sentence, then complete the written test where the knowledge of vehicle mechanics will be tested for general license applicants.
And after you have passed the written test, then we take it to the yard test.
During the yard test, applicants' ability to start on a gradient or hill, parallel park, and reverse will be assessed.
So dear, so now you learn hill start. Your instructor should teach you hill start, how to start on the hill, so you don't run back and create mayhem and crashing people behind you. So again, controlling the vehicle, very critical, right? So once you have done the hill start, you do the yard test, how you navigate the navigate on the road network. Just as how you would have to navigate out there in the real world. So we put you in that control. It's a control environment, right? So we carry you through that navigatory process. Once you have exercised that safely, right, that is good. Another component of it is that we need to see a reversing skills. We want to see that reversing skill being executed, and we want it to be done safely without creating any imbalances in the traffic environment. Once you have completed the yard test, the yard operations, yes, then we can take you out to the road. Because you'd have proven to us that we must take you out to the road, right? Now once we have taken you out to the road now, we give you some instructions, and the instructions should be followed, right? And you are assessed again. Once you have passed all three components, then a certificate of competence will be issued with respect to you. Now that certificate of competence now would then be used as the instrument that would allow you to access the technology of a driver's license, right? And the tax office now would be the ones that would issue you with that card, allowing you to drive for that period of time. If you have not executed the components properly, you will then be required to come back, right, to do the components that you have failed, right? So those things would have been documented, what you pass, and whatever you fail, you will be required to come back and do it.
And there you have it, the Island Traffic Authority's simple steps to help you achieve your very own driver's license.
You've reached the final page of the magazine. Thanks so much for your company on today's journey. Another Jamaica Magazine unfolds tomorrow, so come back tomorrow, same time on this same station. Until then, click on our social media pages for more informative features. While there, please subscribe to all pages and channels so you can stay in the know. I'm Adrian Atkinson, reminding you to live well and to take care of yourself. Do stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.